"Well, this is going to be fun," Captain Hughes muttered as he strapped into his combat suit, a wry smile playing on his lips. The Galactic Council, a coalition of alien races, had never quite understood humans. They had seen Earth as a backwater planet, barely advanced enough to be considered a threat. Yet the Council had underestimated humanity's resilience and capacity for vengeance. Their latest mistake was torturing captured human soldiers, a move they would soon regret. In the cramped confines of the U.S. Retribution, Hughes and his men prepared for what they knew would be a brutal conflict. The message from Earth had been clear. The mission briefing replayed in Hughes's mind. The Council had captured several human soldiers during a skirmish on the outer rim of the Milky Way. The torture was not just physical, but psychological, intended to break the human spirit and send a message of dominance. The Council's broadcast had shown the battered faces of the soldiers, their eyes hollow from the relentless torment. "They think we're weak," Sergeant Grimm said, his voice a low growl. "They think they can break us, and we'll just lie down and take it." Hughes nodded. "They've never met the real us. They think we're soft, because we try to avoid war. They don't understand that we're more dangerous when we're pushed." The Retribution exited hyperspace near the Council stronghold, a massive space station orbiting a dead planet. The plan was simple: hit hard, hit fast, and rescue the captured soldiers. Earth's military had sanctioned the use of all necessary force. There would be no negotiations, no attempts at diplomacy. This was a message written in blood. "Final checks," Hughes ordered. "We go in 5. The men around him moved with the precision of a well-oiled machine. They had trained for years for this kind of mission, and their anger gave them a lethal edge. Each soldier knew the stakes, knew that failure was not an option. 3 minutes to drop. The pilot's voice crackled over the comms. "Good luck, gentlemen." The drop pods ejected from the Retribution like metallic meteors, streaking towards the Council station. Hughes felt the familiar rush of adrenaline as the pod shook violently during re-entry. He gripped his rifle tighter, his mind focused on the mission ahead. The pod landed with a bone-jarring thud, and the hatch blew open. Hughes and his team surged out, weapons at the ready. The station's corridors were eerily quiet, the only sound the hum of the station's machinery. "Move out," Hughes barked. The team advanced, their footsteps muffled by the tactical boots designed for silent movement. They encountered their first resistance at a security checkpoint. Alien guards, a mix of species, scrambled to respond to the sudden intrusion. The firefight was brief and brutal, the humans' superior training and equipment overwhelming the defenders. As they pushed deeper into the station, Hughes's mind kept returning to the broadcast images of the tortured soldiers. He had known some of them personally, men who had shown incredible bravery under fire. The thought of them being subjected to such cruelty fueled his resolve. "Command center is up ahead," Corporal Lee reported, consulting his handheld scanner. "Heavy defenses. Then we go through them," Hughes said. "No mercy." The final approach to the command center was a gauntlet of automated turrets and entrenched alien troops. Hughes and his men moved with ruthless efficiency, using grenades and coordinated tactics to clear a path. The corridor was littered with the bodies of fallen guards, human and alien blood mingling on the cold metal floor. When they reached the command center door, Hughes planted a breaching charge and signaled his team to take cover. The explosion rocked the station, and the heavy door crumpled inward. Hughes led the charge, his rifle spitting death at anything that moved. The command center was a hive of activity. Alien officers scrambled to respond to the sudden attack. Hughes's men cut them down without hesitation, their faces set in grim determination. In the center of the room was the Council's chief torturer, a reptilian creature with a cruel glint in its eyes. Hughes felt a surge of anger as he recognized the creature from the broadcast. "You," Hughes shouted, advancing on the torturer. "Your reign of terror ends here." The torturer hissed and drew a weapon, but Hughes was faster. His rifle barked once, and the torturer crumpled to the floor, lifeless. Secure the area, Hughes ordered. And find those prisoners. The team spread out, securing the command center and accessing the station systems. Hughes watched as the station schematics appeared on a nearby console, showing the location of the holding cells. Got them, Grimm said, pointing to the map. Let's move. The holding cells were deep within the station, a labyrinthine series of corridors and security doors. Hughes and his team moved with purpose, cutting down any resistance they encountered. The sound of distant alarms echoed through the halls, a cacophony of panic and chaos. When they reached the cells, Hughes felt a wave of relief. The prisoners were there, battered but alive. The soldiers rushed to free their comrades, providing medical aid and equipment. You're safe now, Hughes said, helping a soldier to his feet. We're getting you out of here. The soldier, a young man with haunted eyes, nodded. Thank you, sir. They didn't break us. Hughes smiled grimly. No, they didn't. And now it's our turn to show them what that means. As they made their way back to the extraction point, the station's defenders mounted a desperate counterattack. Hughes and his men fought with the ferocity of cornered beasts, their anger and resolve turning them into a relentless force. The corridors were filled with the sound of battle, the air thick with the acrid smell of burning metal and ozone. Almost there, Grimm said, firing a burst at a group of advancing guards. Just a little further. Hughes nodded, his focus unwavering. The message from Earth had been clear, and the Galactic Council was about to learn just how serious that warning was. The extraction point was a chaotic battlefield, with explosions and energy bolts lighting up the dimly lit docking bay. The Council forces, realizing the gravity of the situation, had thrown everything they had at the humans. Hughes's team fought with unrelenting fury, their determination shining through the chaos. Cover the flanks, Hughes shouted over the din, his voice steady despite the intensity of the fight. We need to hold this position until the dropship arrives. Grimes was at his side, his rifle spitting out precise bursts of fire. They're not making it easy, Captain. We've got heavy resistance on the left. Hughes took a quick glance, assessing the situation. Alien troops were pouring in from multiple entry points, their sheer numbers threatening to overwhelm the humans. Lee, get those charges set on the bulkheads. We need to funnel them, Hughes shouted. Lee nodded and sprinted to the designated points, planting explosive charges that would create controlled choke points, forcing the enemy into narrow corridors where their numbers would count for less. As the charges detonated, the docking bay shook and clouds of debris filled the air. Alien soldiers were thrown into disarray, giving the humans a brief respite. Hughes took the opportunity to rally his men. Hold your ground, he commanded. We've got reinforcements coming, and we're not leaving anyone behind. The freed prisoners, still weak from their ordeal, took up weapons and joined the fight. Their eyes, once hollow and defeated, now burned with a desire for retribution. They fought with a fervor that matched their rescuers. Every shot fired was a small piece of vengeance for the suffering they had endured. In the midst of the battle, Hughes spotted the silhouette of the Council's flagship looming outside the docking bay's force field. It was a menacing sight, bristling with weaponry and exuding an aura of dread. But it also signaled that the Council was taking the human threat seriously, which meant their mission was hitting where it hurt. A transmission crackled over Hughes's comms. Retribution to ground team, we're 2 minutes out. Hold tight. Hughes relayed the message to his men. The news gave them a renewed surge of energy. They fought with even greater intensity, knowing that salvation was just within reach. The Council's forces were relentless, however. Wave after wave of alien soldiers pressed the attack, their determination matched only by the humans' resolve. The docking bay was a maelstrom of violence, the air thick with smoke and the stench of burning metal. Grimes on your 6, Hughes shouted, firing at an alien soldier sneaking up on the sergeant. Grimm spun around, finishing off the attacker with a quick burst. "Thanks, Cap," Grim said, breathing heavily. "These bastards don't know when to quit." "They're scared," Hughes replied. "And they should be." As the dropship roared into the docking bay, its heavy guns blazing, the tide of the battle began to turn. The Council's troops faltered, their lines breaking under the combined assault from the dropship and the ground team. The human soldiers wasted no time, loading the wounded and the freed prisoners onto the dropship with practiced efficiency. "Get everyone aboard," Hughes ordered, covering the retreat with Grimes and Lee. "We're almost out of this hellhole." The last of the prisoners were loaded, and Hughes signaled for his men to fall back. The dropship's engines roared to life, lifting off with a surge of power. As they ascended, Hughes took one last look at the Council station, now a smoking ruin of twisted metal and shattered bodies. "This isn't over," he muttered to himself, his mind already racing ahead to the next battle. Not by a long shot. The dropship docked with the Retribution, and the exhausted soldiers disembarked, greeted by cheers from the crew. Hughes's team had accomplished the impossible, striking a blow against the Council that would be felt across the galaxy. In the debriefing room, Hughes faced General Marcus, a stern-faced veteran who had seen more than his fair share of war. "Excellent work, Captain," Marcus said, his voice gruff but approving. "You and your men did us proud." "Thank you, sir," Hughes replied. "But this is just the beginning. The Council won't take this lying down. They'll come at us harder." Marcus nodded. "That's why we're already planning our next move. Intelligence has identified several key Council installations. We're going to hit them where it hurts." Hughes felt a grim satisfaction. "Good. They need to understand that we're not just going to roll over. We'll fight them every step of the way." As the meeting adjourned, Hughes made his way to the mess hall. The mood was jubilant, the air filled with the sound of laughter and clinking glasses. But beneath the surface, there was a steely resolve, a shared understanding that the road ahead would be long and bloody. Grimes joined him at the table, a rare smile on his face. "Hell of a fight, Cap. We showed those bastards what humans are made of." Hughes raised his glass to the fallen and to the fight ahead. "We'll make them regret ever crossing us." The men around him echoed the toast, their eyes reflecting the same unyielding determination. The battle for the Council station had been a victory, but it was just one skirmish in a war that was far from over. The Galactic Council had unleashed the fury of humanity, and there would be no peace until justice was served. The war had intensified. The Galactic Council, shocked by the audacity and ferocity of the humans' attack, had doubled their efforts to crush Earth. However, the warning had been clear, and humanity was ready to make good on their promise. Captain Hughes and his team were now veterans of countless skirmishes. They had become the tip of the spear in humanity's campaign against the Council, their names whispered with a mixture of fear and respect among the alien ranks. The latest was the most daring yet, an assault on the heart of the Council itself, a colossal station orbiting a distant barren world. Intelligence indicated that this was where the Council's high command orchestrated their operations. Taking it down would cripple their war effort and send a final, unambiguous message. As the U.S. Retribution approached the heavily fortified station, Hughes addressed his men in the briefing room. "This is it, gentlemen. This is where we make our stand. The Council thinks they can break us, but they don't understand what it means to be human. Today, we remind them. Today, we show them what happens when you push us too far." Grimes nodded, his face a mask of determination. "Let's give them hell, Captain." The Retribution dropped out of hyperspace, and immediately the alarms blared. The station's defenses sprang to life, a swarm of fighters and automated turrets converging on the human ship. The Retribution's guns blazed, cutting a path through the chaos. "Prepare for drop," Hughes commanded. The team suited up and boarded their pods. The plan was to breach the station's outer defenses, infiltrate the command center, and neutralize the Council's leadership. The drop pods screamed through the station's outer hull, embedding themselves in the structure. The hatches blew open, and Hughes and his men stormed out, weapons ready. The interior was a labyrinth of sterile corridors and high-tech defenses, but the humans moved with practiced efficiency. Lee mapped the quickest route to the command center, Hughes ordered as they advanced. The station's defenses were formidable, but the humans had faced worse. They fought their way through security checkpoints and automated turrets, their resolve unshaken. At the central hub, they encountered heavy resistance. Alien soldiers, knowing the importance of the location, had fortified their positions. The firefight was brutal, but Hughes and his men pressed on, their anger and determination driving them forward. Grimes, take the left flank. Lee, cover the rear. Hughes shouted over the din of battle. They moved with precision, exploiting every weakness in the enemy's defenses. As they breached the final door to the command center, Hughes could see the council's leaders huddled around a hollow table, their faces a mix of fear and disbelief. The humans had come for them, and there was no escape. Stand down, Hughes ordered, his voice echoing in the cavernous room. The council's guards hesitated, their loyalty wavering in the face of certain defeat. One of the alien leaders, a tall insectoid creature, stepped forward. You don't understand what you're doing. This war will destroy you. Hughes leveled his rifle at the creature. You brought this on yourselves. We tried for peace, but you chose to torture our people. Now you'll face the consequences. With a swift motion, Hughes fired. The alien leader crumpled to the floor. The room descended into chaos. The remaining council members tried to flee, but Hughes's team was relentless. One by one, the council's leaders fell, their reign of terror ending in a hail of gunfire. As the last of the council's leadership lay defeated, Hughes activated his comms. Retribution mission accomplished. The council's command is neutralized. The return to the Retribution was uneventful, the station's defenses crumbling without central coordination. Hughes and his men boarded the ship, the sense of accomplishment tempered by the knowledge of the battle still to come. Back on Earth, the news of the Council's defeat spread like wildfire. Humanity had struck a decisive blow, proving that they were a force to be reckoned with. The Council's remaining forces scattered, their morale shattered. But Hughes knew this was not the end. The galaxy was vast, and the scars of this war would take generations to heal. Yet, for the first time, humanity had shown the universe that they were not to be trifled with. They had sent their warning, and they had delivered on their promise. The price had been high, but the lesson was clear. Humanity would not be broken.